Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Adrian from the One Rings Fangirl channel. I am back today with another video. I am so excited to do this. I just want to let y'all in on a few things, give you guys a few updates. My Breaking Bad video, I know I've always keep telling y'all that I'm going to upload it, and I am. However, I'm going to make that be the last project that I do because I have so much other rants that are shorter for me to talk about, and that isn't necessarily a rant. It's me discussing why I think Breaking Bad is such a fucking masterpiece. So that will be like my, since that's such a big project, I'm gonna do that video last. Um, my Found season 2 episode 13, I believe. Y'all, sometimes I forget what episode it is. I think it's 13. Review will be up today as fast as I can make it. I'm trying to get that review out today. But for today's video, I'm going to be talking about Telltale's The Walking Dead game season 2, and then my next video from season 2 will be me talking about Kenny's character from season 1 and season 2. I'm going to get into some things. But as far as Walking Dead season 2, Telltale the game, as far as the Walking Dead season 2 game is concerned, when I was younger, I really loved this game. I really did. You can ask anybody in my family. I played this game a lot. A lot. I watched the Walking Dead Telltale gameplay so many times. I can watch the gameplay. Like, I watch the gameplay a lot because, honestly, I think outside of Left 4 Dead, the zombie game, I think Walking Dead, the Walking Dead game from Telltale is definitely one of my favorite games. It would be on my top 5, top 10 list of favorite video games to play. I loved season 1. Season 1 for Telltale was a fucking masterpiece. Lee was such a good protagonist. I loved his relationship with Clementine. Like, the Walking Dead season 1 game was just really amazing. And, excuse me, when I was a kid, I always thought season 2 was a masterpiece. It wasn't until I got older that I started realizing there's a lot of things about the Walking Dead season 2 game that just don't make sense. That really makes it like it doesn't hold up as much as they do. One of the main things that always like doesn't make sense to me with the Walking Dead Telltale game is that what is the point of playing with Clementine if she feels like a background character? And what I mean is that I do not feel like Clementine really ever gave main character like energy up until the final season for the game. Like the final season for the game, that it was just all about her. She was the main character. There was no one else that was there that outshined her. Not even Lily. Lily wasn't even a villain for that long. They killed her off so quick. And that's always been a thing with me, hating what they do with the villains in the Walking Dead game. At least in season 1, it makes sense for them to kill, or it's really up to you, your choice to kill the cannibal people or not. As far as the guy who kidnapped Clementine, I guess you call him a villain, but that just always to me when I played season 1 just really came out of nowhere. I never really got the reason why they chose this man as a villain. They could have chose anybody else, but it is what it is. In season 2, I really wish they would have gave at least some more time for Carver to be a villain. I mean, looking back on it, I thought he was cool, but to know that his whole like villain strategy was because he was obsessed with Rebecca and knowing who child it was makes him feel flat as a villain. And Lily in season 4, she wasn't really able to be a villain for that long. Again, it was like kind of like the Kenny thing in season 2, where you're showing someone that we all thought died, but here they are living and breathing. Lily owned what can I call it? I'm gonna say a camp, some type of boot camp where she kidnaps kids and turns them into soldiers, things like that. I mean, she was cool for the time that they gave her. I mean, I thought Lily was always cool in season 1. Honestly, I kind of looked at her as a villain. I really wish they would have made her the villain for season 1. It just made sense. In season 4, they only gave her a extended time to be a villain, and then they killed her off before the final episode. So to me, it's like they only gave her one episode to really for her to be a villain. Same thing with Carver in season 2. They only gave him one episode to really be a villain, and for him, his whole villain strategy was just wrapped around being obsessed with Rebecca. And it's like, okay, that makes him feel so flat as a villain. But it's like when you play season two for The Walking Dead, it's like everyone outshines Clementine. Clementine feels such like a background character. Like she just does. I just something about like when I like the idea of playing a child in the apocalypse because it's just such a good thing because it's not just adults who have to get used to the world changing, it's also children. Clementine has to get used to living in a world where she's gonna have to grow up fast, and learn and do things that she necessarily wouldn't be able to do in the normal world. But now that things are different, now that the world is different, it's like you gotta change with it. You gotta get with how the world is now. I was okay with a 12-year-old child being the main character, but it's like when you play the game, she feels like such a background character, especially when Kenny approaches. It's like when Kenny approaches, it's like he takes away all the shine from Clementine. It feels like this game should have been a Kenny Telltale. It felt like it should have been a Kenny game. I feel like Kenny should have been a guy you should have been playing with, not Clementine, because Clementine just felt like a designated background character. Like I feel like when Kenny and Jane showed up, they outshined her, especially Kenny. Kenny was definitely the main character in the Walking Dead season 2 game. And I feel like when I was playing as Clementine, it's like, can they let me play as Kenny? Because I just feel like he was way more interesting. Clementine doesn't really have any character development in season two. She's still a kid trying to find their way. It's like she feels like a background character. You really don't really do too much for Clementine outside of building relationships with everyone in your camp you possibly can. Building a relationship with Sarah, building a relationship with Luke, building a relationship with Rebecca, Alvin, Nick, Pete, Kenny, Jane. Like just try to build a relationship with people, and it's just like, okay, I get that, because in season one you also had to build relationships, but there was also stories to be told. I feel like when you play the Walking Dead season two game, it's going like it's going a tad bit fast. Like I never really got what the story is in the Walking Dead season two, other than Clementine needs to find another adult that she can rely on, right? And that's where it comes down to the whole like pick and choose between Jane and Kenny. Who would be the better adult for her to rely on? Honestly, we all know the best choice was Kenny. Kenny protects Clementine. Kenny loves Clementine. He loves AJ. He will do anything he can do for them. And honestly, him having them now, having her back, and having AJ is him relearning again what he needs to do to keep them safe that he did not do with his family. Ooh. Kenny is my favorite character from the Walking Dead Telltale game. I'm not going to say too much about his character at all from the Telltale series because I have a video that I'm going to be doing on my own talking about his character, but I just want to say that I don't feel like it was such a hard question or such a no-brainer on who you needed to pick and choose. I'm not saying Kenny was perfect. I'm not saying that at all. He was definitely flawed. And yes, he was a ticking time bomb. Yes, he was stubborn. But I feel like some of the stuff he did in season 2 was absolutely justified. When he blamed Clementine for Sarita's death, he was in a moment of grief. And because he decided to kill Carver, it left Sarita unguarded. It left her feeling vulnerable, not knowing who to rely on in that moment. Kenny was not there to protect her, which put him back in that mindset of feeling like he feeling back in that moment where he feels failure because he did not put down his son in The Walking Dead season 1. Kenny feels like he is weak, right? He feels like he's weak because sometimes he's not able to do what needs to be done. That's what makes his character so fucking good to me. And I feel like everyone was so quick in season 2 to say he's an abuser. But honestly, I think the only way Clementine will ever feel like he is dangerous is because Jane was manipulating her. Jane was manipulating Clementine the entire time. Jane is not someone you want to rely on in the apocalypse. She made it very clear when you first meet her, she does not like people who are burdens. I mean, for crying out loud, this lady abandoned her. For crying out loud, she abandoned her sister just so she can live and so her sister can die. She didn't even try to help her sister in that moment where they were all just out like outran by the walkers. She just said, "Fuck you, I'm not gonna help you." Her sister was stuck. She let her sister die, and she just continued on. Like, I feel like off top they tell you what kind of person Jane is, and I don't think she's someone you can rely on. She doesn't like burdens, and she's like someone at the end of the day who's going to put you in the crossfire. If it comes down to you and her, she's going to pick her, which is exactly what the fuck she does in the Walking Dead season 3 game. If you pick her, this bitch takes herself out from suicide because she was pregnant with a baby, and because she did not want to raise a child in this world, she kills herself, aka meaning she kills her child in the process, abandoning Clementine and this child that she promised to protect. Yeah, and she just such someone you can rely on. It makes no sense. Even in the Walking Dead season 3 game, Clementine is solidified to a background character. It's like you just made her a background character in season 2, and then you make her a background character in season 3, which I never understood. What the fuck is the point of putting a new family in the Walking Dead game? I never understood that. Like, why in season 3 did they put a whole new family in there that interrupts Clementine's whole journey? Because that's what they did. They had to focus on her journey in season 4. Had they just continued what they were doing from season 2 to season 3 without the new family, I don't think they would have done so as much as they did in season 4. They wouldn't have had to do it if they just done it in season 3. It never made sense to me that they put a new family in there, a new family in the middle of her story. That was always stupid to me. That never ever made sense to me, like, at all. As far as season 2 is concerned, I'll never get anybody who picks Jane. Jane is a manipulative ass bitch. She wanted Clementine to look at Kenny as a monster, and to know in the last hidden moment, like to know in the last episode, she faked killing a child just so she could see Kenny get angry, so she could try to prove a point to Clementine. She's toxic. She's no good. Like Kenny said, he wouldn't have had killed her. She could have, in the middle of the fight, she could have stopped and said that AJ was alive, that she never killed him. She wanted to fight. She wanted to have an all-out war. She wasn't right. She kept poking and poking and poking. It's like she wanted to make Kenny angry even when he really was giving her, like, he wasn't even tripping on her for real, for real. He was not really bothering that bitch, but she just kept poking my nigga. She just kept poking. She just kept pushing and pushing. And once you tell him that you killed a child, someone that he's promised to keep alive, what do you think the fuck was going to happen? Like he said, she could at any moment in the middle of the fight, she could have told Kenny that she did not kill AJ. She wanted a fight. She wanted a fight. I don't give a fuck how any of y'all feel. The Walking Dead season 2 game is okay. I love it because I love Kenny. I love they brought Kenny back and gave his character, they added more to his character and told us where he's been after what happened in season 1. I can't really like it because I'm playing as Clementine and she's such a boring character. She's just put in the background. Like I said, season 2 is moving pretty fast. Everyone is dying so quick. None of these characters get any development. And it's like, what is the point of the Walking Dead 400 day game if you're going to use Vince and Bonnie and Russell and Wyatt and Shelly as fucking background characters? Why is Bonnie the only one for the 400 day game who get to leave with the group? Why didn't the rest of them leave? It just didn't make sense. It just didn't. To me, it's stupid. It's like, okay, what is the point of them being here? What's the point of the Walking Dead 400 day game if Bonnie is the only one who's going to get any ounce of, like, screen time and say anything? There was no point in them existing. It was no point in telling their story. And another thing, why is everybody acting like Kenny wasn't right? Bonnie and if Bonnie stays alive, right, and then the one dude, I always forget his name. What is his name? Mike, the black guy. Everybody is acting like when him, Bonnie, and the one Russian guy leave, they're all acting like they're leaving because Kenny is crazy. No, they're leaving because there's a Berta in the group, and the Berta is the baby. They don't want to be in a group where they have to take care of the baby and go out and look for food because they were taking everything that they have. They was taking their food. They were trying to take the car. I hope don't none of them survive. I hope they got eaten by walkers because it's cold as fuck. Right? Like they were leaving because they didn't want to be in a group where it's such a burden. A baby is a burden, right? Especially now in the apocalypse where it's zombies and shit like that. You look at the baby now as a burden because it's like every cry, whatever the fuck. That's why they left. It had nothing to do because Kenny was, oh, he was crazy or losing his mind. If anything, he was doing what he was doing to keep them safe. And had they just shut the fuck up and just listen, you don't have to agree with everything a leader does, but just know they're doing for the best for you. That's exactly what he was doing. But they didn't want to be with him. Bye, go. Anyone keeping y'all here. But it's like whatever Kenny said about them, he was right. I don't know why the fans is acting like he wasn't speaking like the truth because he was right about all these motherfuckers. He was right about Jane. He was right about Bonnie. He was right about Mike. None of them ain't shit because y'all left as soon as the shit got hard. But y'all were the main ones who wanted to escape. Who wanted to escape Carver's camp. But yet, as soon as shit got tough, y'all niggas want to dip. Y'all niggas ain't reliable. Y'all not dependable, my nigga. And like I said, the game is going pretty fast. It's like there's really not much of a story being told other than who's going to be the next adult Clementine can rely on and trust. And don't none of the people, not Carlos, not Sarah. Another thing in this game, it's like don't none of your choices matter. And a perfect example is this is Sarah, right? What is the point of saving Sarah if she's just going to die in that same exact episode, right? The same episode you save her in, she dies in. And I feel so bad for Sarah because I had to blame her father. Her father still wanted her to have this childlike mentality, even if they're living the world they're living in, which is not good. Because of her dad, because he coddled her and did not prepare her for the world that she was living in, is why she died. Carlos should have been getting her ready because all that childish shit, that shit is ending. You gotta learn how to protect yourself now. This world now is really do or die. And if you want to still be a kid, you're not going to survive that long. And I feel like Clementine did her best, but it really wasn't up to her to make her to what she needed to be for the world. It was up to Carlos, and Carlos did not do that. Like, they didn't give none of those characters nothing. They all were killed off so fast. Like, Alvin was killed in episode 3. Rebecca dies in episode 4. Carlos dies in episode 3. Nick dies in episode 4. Luke dies in episode 5. Like, what the fuck? Like, Rebecca dies in episode 5. It's just like, it's stupid. It's like they didn't give those characters anything. Pete dies in episode 2. It's like, that group was really losing a lot of people. And it's like, you didn't even give them much screen time. What was the point of them all surviving or trying to make it this far if you're just going to be knocking them off as flies? It's just stupid. What's the point of even trying to save any of them if you're just going to be killing them? It was just dumb. Like, none of your choices matter. Like, season 2 is just, it doesn't hold up. Like, it's just, when you play it now, it's not a bad game. Like I said, I love it because I love that they brought Kenny back. But I can't necessarily say I just love it because of Kenny. Clementine is really not that good of a character to play with. And like I said, the game is moving too fast. And none of your choices matter. What is the point of saving Sarah in episode 4 if she's just going to die in episode 4? You could just leave her there to die. You feel me? But then it's like, will you be solidified as a bad friend because you didn't try to at least tell her to, like, not give up? It's like, what's the reason? If she's just gonna die anyway, what is the point of that choice if that choice is not gonna bring out any different outcome other than, oh, her fate was gonna be she was gonna die anyway? It's like, okay, then what the fuck's the point? I'm trying to think of another choice in here that you do that doesn't mean anything. I'm trying to think of a choice. I can't think of any choices. I just know, I can't remember any from the top of my head, but I do know some of the choices in this game that you do make don't matter because someone ends up dying anyway. The only one I could think of that didn't make sense to me is the Sarah one. Like if you save Sarah, she ends up dying. So it's like, why not just leave her there to die? What's the point of making that choice if you're telling me her same outcome would have been what she would have done in the cabin? She just would have died. It just don't make sense. So yeah, this Walking Dead season 2 game don't hold up. And like I said, I love it because of Kenny. I honestly love it because of him. But Clementine was really not that good of a character to play with. She felt like a background character. That's all I really got to say for this video. I will be out. I will try to do my final season 2 episode 13 review today as fast as I can as possible. And my Kenny video will be up sometime this weekend. I promise. Like I said, my Breaking Bad video will be my last project. Oh, and I also want to do a review on this movie that one of my favorite actors playing called Thomas Ian Griffin. It's called A Vision of Murder, the story of Daniela. It's a movie from Lifetime. I haven't finished it yet, but once I'm done, I will be making a review about it because so far I really do like it. I love the storyline. So yeah, that's all for today. Catch you guys next time.